So guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to be doing a new schedule. I'm going to be trying to do 3 uploads a week. I know that sounds ambitious, but you know, we've got to start somewhere. Mondays we're going to be doing performance videos. So it'll just be a performance of a trick of my choosing. There won't be any tutorial, that'll just be a trick that I think is cool and worth sharing. Okay, so that'll be on Mondays. And then on either Tuesdays or Wednesdays, I haven't decided yet, we're going to have a tutorial. So we're going to have a trick, a performance and a tutorial. And then on the Friday, we're going to be doing a false cut or a false shuffle. So we'll be teaching a false cut or a false shuffle on a Friday. So that'll be the new schedule that we will be aiming to stick to. So with all that said, let's just jump into today's performance and tutorial. And with all that said, I'll see you in just a second. So for today's trick, we're going to be using the Deadpool cards once again, because they are one of my favourites at the moment. I have got some Game of Thrones cards that I want to feature very soon, but yeah, we'll stick with the Deadpool just for now. We'll get rid of the advertising cards and we can begin. So the idea for this trick is that we're going to be doing a bit of mind reading, and the spectator is also going to be doing a bit of mind reading as well. Okay. So the deck can be completely shuffled at the start. Everything gets completely mixed up, and as you can see, every single card is completely shuffled. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut the deck into 2 piles just like this, and what the spectator and I are going to do now is we're going to start dealing the cards down one at a time, just like this. So I'll deal through the cards. We don't have to deal one at a time, we can deal 3 at a time. We can even mix up the cards if we want to. Just make sure to deal through all of the cards, okay? So the spectator will do exactly the same thing. Obviously it would have been quicker if I had a spectator. They'll start dealing cards. They can mix up the cards. They can just place them down in any order, just so that their pile is well and truly mixed up. So now at this point, what we're both going to do is we are going to do a thing they do in the casinos to stop people from cheating, especially magicians, because they are the best at cheating, in my honest opinion. So we're going to be taking the top card of the packet and we're going to be burning it into the middle, just like this. And we're going to be doing the same thing with the bottom card as well. So the spectator will do exactly the same thing. They'll pick up their pile, they'll burn the top card, they'll take the bottom card, and they'll burn that as well. Okay, so now what we're going to both do is, once we've mixed up the packets and burned the top and bottom cards, we're going to cut the packet anywhere we like and just place the packet on top, just like that, at a funny angle. Okay, so we'll quickly recap. What we've done was shuffled the deck. The spectator could have shuffled the deck as well if we had one. We cut the deck into 2 piles, we dealt with the cards, we mixed them up, we burnt the top and bottom card, and then we cut to a random position in the deck. So that's all completely fair at this point. Now what we're both going to do is I'm going to take a look at my card, and I'm going to remember it at the card I cut to, and I'm going to lose it into the middle of the pack. And the spectator is going to do the same, so you will look at the card that you've cut out. Hopefully you can see that. I'll leave it there for a few seconds just in case it's not in focus, and then they will lose their card into the middle of the pack as well. So now at this point, the 2 packets can be reassembled and shuffled back together, and both cards are completely lost in the middle of the deck. So now here is where the mind reading comes into play. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that we have a spectator, as we always do. And what I'm going to do is we're going to use this deck of cards here as a sort of conduit to send messages across to one another. And the idea is I'll place my thumb at one edge of the deck, and the spectator will place their thumb at the other edge of the deck. And this way we'll be able to psychically send messages to each other. So I'll be the one sending the messages for now, and hopefully the spectator, if we had one, would receive the psychic messages. So the first one is I'm going to ask a few questions. So I'll ask the spectator, for example, what suit they think my card is. Okay, so my card is either going to be clubs, hearts, spades, or diamonds. I'm going to ask the spectator what card they think my suit is. I'm going to send it across to them psychically, and I just want them to nod their head when they think they know what my suit is. Okay, so after 3, 2, 1. So after that, the spectator will nod their head and they will say they know what my suit is. So it's either clubs, hearts, spades, or diamonds. They'll pick one, and it'll either be right or wrong. We'll find out. So now we'll do exactly the same thing for the value of the card. I'll send the value of my card across. So obviously you've got ace through king here. So on the count of 3, so that's 3, 2, 1. Perfect. So I've sent across the value of my card now, so the spectator should know the value and suit of my card, knowing the full identity. So now, just to make sure we're on the same wavelength, I'm going to ask a few more follow-up questions, just to make sure that everything's working perfectly. Okay, so I'm going to ask the spectator now, do they fit, okay, what's a good question to ask here? Do you think your card is higher or lower than the value of my card? You think my card's higher than your card, okay? How much higher do you think my card is than the value of your card? 3, you think it's 3 higher. Okay, I think that's enough information. I think we're on the same wavelength here. And if all has gone correct, the spectator is now given the chance to go through the deck and take out the card that they think is mine, okay? So they'll go through the pack, and then they'll take out the card that they think is mine. Let's say they go for this card here, and they'll place it down on the table face down, okay? And then once they've done that, the deck is passed to me, and then I, the magician, will do the same thing for them, and I'll try and take out their selected card, okay? So, this is a bit tough. I think I'm going to go for this card. Okay, and I'll place that face down on the table. Right now, we've got 2 cards on the table, and hopefully, if all has gone correctly, we both should have nailed each other's cards spot on. Okay, so for the first time today, my card was the 7 of diamonds. Let's take a look at the card that you picked. Wow, absolutely spot on. You nailed it. And your card, I thought, was the 4 of spades, and that's why I removed the 4 of spades. So yeah, that is the trick. I know it's probably not that impressive without an actual spectator. Hopefully I'll be able to get a spectator on the channel in the future, just so we've got someone to interact with. But yeah, if you want to learn how to perform that, that is what it would look like if I had a spectator. Yeah, pretty much. So if you want to learn how to do that, then stick around. If you don't, then please make sure to like and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. But if you want to know how it's done, I shall see you in a few seconds. So, if you want to learn how to perform this, all you're going to need is just a regular deck of cards. You're going to want to remove the jokers, and yeah, you can have it shuffled and everything. All you want to do is, once the deck has been shuffled, all you need to do is get a card with a very low value. So I tend to say 4 or lower. So go 4, 3, 2, or ace, in my opinion. You can include up to 5 if you want, but basically you want to get a low value card below the value of 5, I would say, and you want that card to be in the second position from the top. Now obviously that's a lot of cards, so you've got at least 16 cards there that you can target, and more often than not, once the deck has been shuffled, you will find a low value card is in the second position from the top of the deck. Which is what you need in this instance. Okay, so I was very lucky in my performance that the 4 of spades here was actually, well, it's the same card, was in the second position from the top of the deck. But let's say you aren't so lucky, and once you shuffle the deck, let's say the 6 of diamonds is in the second position. All you need to really do is just cut the deck so that a low value card is in the second position. It really doesn't make much of a difference, but you can do a cull as well if you want. I'll quickly go over what a cull would look like. Let's say, for example, you've got a 10 in the second position. You don't really want that. So you see you've got a 10. All you need to do is find a low value card, and then once you've found it, you're going to separate the deck at that point slightly and use your fingers on the back of that card just to move it out of position. So now it's completely removed out the spread of the deck, but it's just gliding underneath the bottom. I don't know if you can see that from this angle. So basically I've just stripped out the low valued card and I've dropped the rest of the deck because I'm really professional. Okay, so what you do is you spread through the card, you find a low valued card, and you're going to use your fingers to basically strip it out of the deck, and then you're going to continue spreading the cards as if like you're completely doing nothing, and then you're going to square up the deck, placing that low valued card into the second position. So we now have the 2 of clubs. as a very quick explanation of what a cult would look like, I'll probably go over that in the future. So, in more in depth even. So, once you've got a low value card in the second position, all you need to do now is cut the deck. The spectator will receive the top half of the deck, and this is where the dealing and shuffling process begins. So you explain to the spectator that you're going to be dealing down the cards. Now, in the beginning, you're going to, let's slow down a bit. You're going to be dealing the cards one at a time, just so the spectator gets past the second card, and because you want that to remain the same in just a second. So you deal through the cards, and then you can start dealing in clumps. You can start even mixing up the cards if you want, and just dealing down the cards, mixing them up until they're all on the table. So the spectator would do the same. They've dealt their second card, so at this point they could start dealing in clumps. They can mix up the cards, and they can continue dealing the cards. And now my dog is going to start making noises. We're just going to ignore her for a second. So basically, what we're going to do now at this point, the low valued card is second in position from the bottom of their pile. So this is why we're going to do the burning of the cards. It's actually a very good disguise to make it seem like you have no control over anything, when in actual fact it's part of the trick. So all you need to do now is you're going to burn the top card of the pack, and you're going to take the bottom card of the pack and you're going to burn it in the middle. And the spectator will do the same with their pile, taking the top and the bottom card, placing it in the middle. And now the low valued card, the force card in this case, is now on the bottom of their pile, ready to do the cross-cut force. So in this example, what we're going to do is going to cut off the top packet and then place the bottom on top at an angle, just like that. Don't say mark the cut, otherwise it's too obvious. Just say place it atop at an angle, just so we remember for later. Okay, so they cut off the top and they place the rest at an angle, just like that. Okay, so now at this point, all you're going to do is slowly recap, just for a bit of time misdirection, just so they forget. It's a bit obvious if you do the cross-cut force and then immediately pick up. So you want a bit of time misdirection, so just quickly recap what you've done. You've dealt the cards are shuffled. Please try and ignore the dog. And all we're going to do now is we're going to pretend to look at this card. So in this case, I've got the 8 of spades. We're just going to totally ignore this. It doesn't matter. So we just pretend to look at the card and remember it. We don't remember it. And the spectator is going to remember their card. So in this case, they're going to remember the 2 of clubs. So we're way ahead. We already know what card they're thinking of, and they think we're also thinking of a card. So now we're going to shuffle the 2 packets together. And now we can begin the mind reading, or the mind reading process. So the way this works is we're going to pretend the deck is a bit of a conduit, as I said in the performance, and we're going to place thumbs at opposing edges of the deck, and we're going to be able to send messages across to each other. Okay, so the first question you're going to want to ask is, or what you're going to tell the spectator psychically, that doesn't sound right, but it is a word, is you're going to tell them the suit of your cards, so clubs, hearts, spades or diamonds, and you're going to just pretend to send that across, and then they will nod their head. Just tell them to nod their head once they get it. They don't have to actually know, because there's no way of them actually knowing, because you're not even thinking of a card. But yeah, so just get them to nod their heads once they think they know what suit you're thinking of, and then do the same thing for the value of the card. So you pretend to send the value of the card across. So now they'll be thinking of a card. And now the next question is very important. And we actually gain a lot of information from the next 2 questions. So the first question you're going to ask is, do you think your card is, or no, do you think my card is higher or lower than your card? It's very important that you ask it that way around. Do you think my card is higher or lower than your card? Now that's why we choose to force a low valued card. It's because most of the time, well, pretty much all of the time, if it's a very low valued card, they're not really left with much option below their card that they're thinking of. So that most of the time, it's pretty much they're going to say higher. So after that point, once they've said they think your card is higher than theirs, you're going to ask them, how much higher do you think your card is, my card is than yours? And now, depending on what number it is, they're basically going to tell you exactly what card or what value they are thinking of for your card. So they think of the 2 of clubs at the minute. So let's say they think my card is 7 higher than theirs. So that means they think that my card is a 9, okay? So let's say they think it's a 9, and now at this point they will now take the deck. You instruct them to pick up the deck and remove the card they think that I'm thinking of. Okay, so they'll spread through the deck and they're just going to remove any 9. They don't even know what card they're thinking of, you're thinking of, but they're just going to pretty much guess. So let's say they remove the 9 of clubs at this point. All we know at this point is that they're going to remove a 9. Okay, so now we can pick up the deck, and when we go to remove their card, before we remove what we know their card is, the 2 of clubs, we're going to spread through the deck and just look for whatever 9 is missing. So we spread through the deck, we see the 9 of hearts, we see the 9 of diamonds, and we see the 9 of spades. So now we know that they removed the 9 of clubs. So now we spread through the deck again, or continue spreading through the deck looking for their card, and remove the 2 of clubs. So now at this point you can remove the deck and focus on the 2 cards on the table. You now can reveal that your card was the 9 of clubs, and they will be pretty much gobsmacked at this point, because how could they have known your card? It's pretty incredible. And now you reveal that you successfully removed their card, being the 2 of clubs. So that is the mind reading effect. It's one of my favourite tricks. I think I learned it at a lecture years ago, and it's still one of my favourites to perform. So I hope you guys enjoy performing it as much as I do. And with all that said, I shall see you in the next one. Goodbye. How do I turn this off?